They say love is the highest vibration. But what happens when love is split? When trust is broken? When one man lies in two beds? Or one woman gives her heart to two men? Is it sin, freedom, or simply karma waiting to unfold? This video will challenge everything you think you know about infidelity, fidelity, and the true spiritual consequences behind them. And at the heart of it all, we'll uncover what America's most famous psychic, Edgar Cayce, revealed about this delicate, often taboo subject. Before we dive deep, if you're someone who loves content that questions mainstream beliefs and explores the spiritual truths beneath them, make sure you subscribe now. Trust me, you won't want to miss the next videos coming up. For those unfamiliar, Edgar Cayce was known as the Sleeping Prophet. Born in 1877, he gave over 14,000 psychic readings while in a trance state. He spoke about health, reincarnation, Atlantis, the soul's journey, karma, and yes, even relationships, marriage, and infidelity. And Cayce wasn't a preacher. He wasn't pushing religious dogma. His insights came from a higher state of consciousness, and when he spoke of infidelity, he didn't frame it as just a moral failure. He framed it as an issue of soul growth, energy, and karma. Most people see cheating as a matter of right or wrong, but Cayce looked at it differently. He said infidelity was a symptom of imbalance within the soul. He described it not just as a betrayal of a partner, but as a betrayal of the harmony between souls. Why? Because marriage, in his words, wasn't just a social contract. It was a sacred union, a spiritual mirror. When one partner strays, they don't just step out on their spouse, they step out on themselves. They fracture their own energy. According to Cayce, this fracture creates karmic ripples. The pain caused, the distrust, the insecurity, the brokenness, doesn't simply disappear. It returns. It echoes. Sometimes in this lifetime, sometimes in the next. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable, because many will say, but what if infidelity doesn't cause pain? What if it brings joy? What if a man can love two women and both feel fulfilled? It's a fair question, and Cayce would agree. Karma isn't about punishment, it's about consequence. If no one is harmed, if all parties are uplifted, then yes, the karmic burden is lighter. But here's the catch. In almost every case, pain lurks beneath the surface. Jealousy, comparison, the quiet ache of not being fully chosen. These seeds may take years to sprout, but they grow, and when they do, the karma becomes real. Not because a law was broken, but because a heart was. Cayce often warned about confusing desire with love. Desire is hungry. Desire always wants more. It multiplies partners. It seeks novelty. But love is steady. Love goes deep instead of wide. Infidelity, at its root, is often desire masquerading as love. It feels electric, intoxicating. But Cayce taught that desire without spiritual alignment always burns out, and usually leaves ashes in its wake. And here's the deeper layer. Sexual energy isn't just biology, it's creative force. It can build or it can destroy. Spread across many partners, it disperses. Focused within one sacred union, it amplifies, becoming a spiritual tool for growth. But what about polygamy? After all, history is full of it. Kings, prophets, entire cultures embraced multiple spouses. Was that all bad karma? Cayce addressed this too. He said that in many past lives, especially in cultures like Egypt or Atlantis, souls experience polygamy as a normal structure. But here's the twist. Those very souls reincarnated into modern lifetimes often struggled with fidelity. Why? Because their soul memory still carried patterns of having many loves. To Cayce, polygamy wasn't a sin. It was simply a stage of evolution. But eventually every soul must learn fidelity, not because it's a rule, but because fidelity teaches unity, depth, the surrender of ego into oneness with another. Let's get brutally real for a moment. Infidelity almost always leaves a trail of betrayal. Even if hidden, the energy of secrecy carries weight. Cayce said nothing stays hidden from the soul. Secrets fester. They create inner conflict, guilt, or self-denial. That energy, too, becomes karma. Betrayal is powerful not just because of what it does to another, but because of what it does to the betrayer. It splits them. It weakens them. It creates a shadow that must eventually be faced. But Cayce wasn't a doom prophet. He also said, karma can be healed. The negative spiral of infidelity doesn't have to last lifetimes. The key? Forgiveness. When betrayal is met with honest repentance and genuine forgiveness, the karmic cycle can dissolve. Not erased, but transformed. The pain becomes a lesson. The brokenness becomes an opening for greater strength. That's why Cayce always pointed back to the soul's purpose, growth. Every mistake, even infidelity, can be a doorway to higher consciousness if faced with honesty and love. One of the striking things about Cayce's work is that he gave personal readings on marriage problems. In one case, a woman asked why her husband was constantly unfaithful. Cayce traced it back to past lives where both partners had lived in cultures where polygamy was accepted. The husband was repeating old patterns, but Cayce didn't condemn him. He told them this was their opportunity to learn fidelity together in this lifetime. If they avoided running away and instead faced the pattern, they could heal not just themselves, but karmic debts stretching centuries. In another reading, Cayce advised a man who had fallen in love with someone outside his marriage. The man felt alive again, full of passion, but Cayce told him bluntly, the thrill is not love, it is desire, and it will fade. He warned that if the man pursued the affair, he would harm 3 souls, his wife, his lover, and himself. The man eventually admitted that the affair did not bring the joy he expected. It only created a deeper emptiness. These readings show that Cayce wasn't moralizing. He wasn't wagging a finger. He was simply pointing to the reality of spiritual cause and effect. Cayce often said, "We reincarnate to learn." Sometimes infidelity is the very stage that teaches us about honesty, integrity, and commitment. A soul that cheats may one day experience being cheated on, not as punishment, but as education. To know both sides of the equation, to feel both the thrill and the wound. Only then can the soul grow in wisdom and compassion. This is why Cayce saw no one as damned forever. Even the unfaithful are still on the path, still learning, still loved by the divine. So why is fidelity such a big deal? Because it's not about following a rule. It's about training the soul in the hardest form of love. Consistent, selfless, unconditional devotion. Anyone can fall in love when it's new. Anyone can feel passion with someone different. But true fidelity asks, can you love deeply enough to move beyond desire? Can you see God in the same person day after day? Can you let love refine you instead of distract you? That's why Cayce saw monogamy as a higher path. Not because polygamy is evil, but because fidelity mirrors the soul's ultimate destiny, union with the One, with God. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you chasing desire, or are you cultivating love? Are you scattering your energy across multiple bodies, or are you building something eternal with one soul? Cayce would say, the answer determines not just your relationships, but your karma, your future, and the very speed of your soul's evolution. Infidelity isn't just about sex. It isn't just about betrayal. It's about energy, choice, and the direction of the soul. Fidelity isn't a prison. It's a practice, a spiritual discipline, a mirror of the divine union every soul is longing for. So the next time temptation whispers or desire burns, remember, every choice is sowing karma. Every act is shaping your soul's journey. And only you can decide, fragmentation or unity, desire or love, delay or evolution. The question isn't whether you can make 2 women happy or whether 1 woman can love 2 men. The question is, will it bring you closer to who you truly are, or scatter you further away? If you found this video thought-provoking, make sure to subscribe and join this channel's journey into the deeper truths of life, love, and spirit. Because the next chapters we'll explore will push your understanding even further. Until then, remember, karma doesn't punish, it teaches. And love, real love, is always the lesson. Subscribe now. Don't miss the next deep dive. Your soul might be craving exactly what comes next.